The Supreme Court just ruled that Trump's tariffs are unconstitutional, and I wanted to quickly put out a video to explain what this means for the lumber tariffs that are already in place and lumber prices, as well as the tariffs that were put on things like tools and cabinets and other building materials, and what it means for the cost of those things as well. In order to really analyze and understand this, we need to understand first the nature of the tariffs, and then also the specifics of the Supreme Court ruling. Let's start with the tariffs. President Trump used a law called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977, or IEPA, which authorizes the president to declare a national emergency to regulate or block commercial and financial transactions with foreign nations deemed an unusual, extraordinary threat to U.S. national security, foreign policy, or the economy. The law was meant as a tool to impose sanctions, freeze assets, and control exports or imports. And prior to Trump, the law was only used a handful of times, including in 1979 to freeze Iranian assets following the hostage crisis, in 1986 to freeze Libyan assets in response to terrorism.
They found me. I don't know how, but they found me. Who? Who do you think? The Libyans!
In Nicaragua in 1985, in Iraq in 1990, and against individual supporters of terrorism after 9/11. Then in the early 2000s, it was used against Russia, North Korea, and Iran. The law does not mention taxes or levies, and before Trump, the law was never used specifically for tariffs. The crisis that the Trump administration is pointing to, the crisis that they argued allowed them to impose tariffs, was first articulated as being fentanyl or drug trafficking generally. But over time, they talked less and less about that and focused on what they called reciprocal tariffs, and then even imposed tariffs against countries that did things that they didn't like. For example, when Brazil convicted their former president, Bolsonaro, who was a friend of Trump's, for plotting a coup. The case against tariffs was brought by multiple parties, including the biggest, which was Costco, and there were multiple conflicting rulings in lower courts before it was brought to the Supreme Court. The companies that were suing argued that IEPA does not authorize the president to impose revenue-raising import duties, and that as a result, the duties collected from importers like Costco were unlawfully extracted. Ultimately, the Supreme Court agreed that IEPA does not authorize the president to impose tariffs and stressed that the Constitution vests the power to tax and impose tariffs in Congress. So any delegation of that authority that would allow the president to unilaterally impose broad, indefinite tariffs would have to be explicitly given by Congress, which it was not. Okay, so the Supreme Court rules and all the tariffs go away and we all go home, right? Wrong. Not all of the tariffs were done under IEPA, and so while this ruling affects some tariffs, it doesn't affect others that are granted under different authorities, meaning that some tariffs will remain in effect, including some of the tariffs over lumber. But before I get into those details, I want to tell you about this video's sponsor, Storyblocks. So I've been making YouTube videos since 2019, which is a long time, and I've always done my best to make my videos as entertaining and as interesting as possible, but that can be really hard sometimes. I'm just one guy, and I've had issues with the time that it takes to shoot footage myself, or the time it takes to find images that are not copyrighted and are free to use. So I turned to Storyblocks about 5 years ago and have been using them ever since. In fact, here are a few of the Storyblocks clips that I've used in this video, like this one of Trump announcing the tariffs on what he called Liberation Day, this clip of the Supreme Court building, and this one just representing tariffs. These clips help better illustrate my points and make my videos better. And with the Storyblocks subscription, you can use an unlimited amount of footage, images, music, and sound effects for one price, not per download like some other companies. Another great thing about Storyblocks is that it's 100% human-made with no generated AI content, or AI slop as people like to call it. So if you're a creator or a company looking to create professional looking content at a reasonable price, go to storyblocks.com/DIY with Dave to check it out. And thanks again to Storyblocks for sponsoring this video. Okay, so the Supreme Court ruled that IEPA does not give the president authority to place broad tariffs, but that doesn't mean that he can't place any tariffs. There are a few other statutes that give the president authority to institute tariffs without congressional authorization, including the first one we'll talk about, which is Section 232, which is designed to be put into place in instances where national security is threatened, and the second is anti-dumping duties and countervailing duties designed to be implemented in instances where there may be unfair trade practices by one of our trading partners. We'll talk about a third relevant one a bit later. For Section 232, which again is around national security, there are 4 steps. The first step is that the Commerce Department will launch an investigation to determine whether an import harms U.S. industries that are critical to national security. Then the Commerce Department will issue a report to the president along with recommended actions if they find that there is a threat. Then the president decides on a remedy, which could include tariffs or quotas or nothing. Then the Customs and Border Patrol enforces whatever the measures are. Now, Section 232 was only used a handful of times from 1962 to 2018 for things like Iranian oil or machine tools during the Reagan administration. But in Trump's first term, he initiated 8 new 232 investigations, and so far in his second term, he's initiated 12. But that's only the number that they've released publicly. Some people think that there are 232 investigations going on right now that haven't been made public. And here's the thing, the Supreme Court ruling does not impact these Section 232 tariffs. That means that the 10% global tariff on softwood timber and lumber will stay in place, and the 25% tariff on both upholstered wooden furniture and kitchen cabinets and vanities that's planned to go in place next year will go in place regardless of the Supreme Court ruling. The other tariff provisions that impact lumber tariffs are called anti-dumping duties and countervailing duties. They're both provisions of the Tariff Act of 1930, and they sometimes get lumped together, but they actually mean two distinct things. Anti-dumping duties are tariffs imposed by the U.S. government when the Department of Commerce determines that a foreign company is selling goods in the U.S. at less than fair value, usually meaning below their home market price or below their cost. In other words, they're dumping their product into the U.S., and that's usually done in order to kill U.S. industries and support their own. This is what China's done for decades with solar panels. They wanted to harm the U.S. solar panel industry as it was kind of getting started up, and so they flooded the U.S. market with cheap solar panels, and their goal eventually was, once there was no domestic solar panel industry, they would raise their prices. And so to prevent that, there have been anti-dumping duties imposed on cheap Chinese solar panels since the Obama administration. Countervailing duties are tariffs imposed when the U.S. government finds that a foreign government is subsidizing its producers in a way that harms U.S. industry. It's meant to offset or countervail the benefit of foreign subsidies and level the playing field for U.S. producers. These are the tariffs that have been in place against Canadian lumber off and on since the 1980s. The main argument is that U.S. lumber producers feel that the way that the Canadian government awards logging contracts on Crown lands or Canadian government land is unfair, as most U.S. lumber comes from private land at a higher cost. Anti-dumping and countervailing duties are also not affected by the Supreme Court ruling, meaning that the 14.5% anti-dumping and countervailing duties will remain on Canadian lumber, as well as the 10% global 232 tariff on lumber from any country, meaning that lumber from all countries imported to the U.S. will continue to have at least a 10% tariff, and Canadian lumber will have around a 25% tariff. And again, those tariffs are not going to be impacted by this Supreme Court ruling. Now, the purpose for all these tariffs and all this protectionism is really meant to help the U.S. lumber industry, but as I explained in a recent video, it hasn't really done that. And the main reason for that is the stagnant housing market. Most of the lumber in the U.S. is used to build homes. And if we're not building a lot of housing, then demand for lumber stays low, and it doesn't really matter how high a tariff is if nobody's buying it anyway. Now, that could change if the market picks up, but I'll be honest, I personally don't see that happening anytime soon. But please feel free to correct me. If you think that things are going to go gangbusters, or you think that things are going to change real soon, leave me a comment if you think I'm wrong. I'd love to hear what you guys think. All right, so most of the lumber tariffs, as I mentioned, fall under presidential authority that's not impacted by the Supreme Court ruling, so they're going to stand. But what about the other tariffs that are impacted by the Supreme Court ruling? Well, on Liberation Day, Trump announced tariffs on all goods from nearly every country. These are the tariffs that the Supreme Court ruling does impact. So tools from China and Taiwan will no longer have tariffs. Sheetrock from Mexico will no longer have tariffs. You've got copper from Chile and appliances from China that will no longer have tariffs. In theory, that is. The problem is that Trump has already lashed out and has vowed to use other authorities aside from IEPA to implement broad global tariffs again. One of those is Section 122, which allows the president to put in place temporary tariffs of up to 15% for up to 150 days. Some people are predicting that he will implement these short-term tariffs, and then when they expire, he'll just put them into place the very next day, and then that cycle will repeat every 150 days. Now, that isn't really in keeping with the spirit of the Supreme Court decision, but it looks like we're going to be talking about this again at some point when the Supreme Court needs to rule on other tariffs that Trump tries to then implement. Now, I want to leave you with a few last thoughts here. The first is that this has all created a massive mess. There is an estimated $170 billion that have been collected in tariffs that now likely have to be refunded to the companies that paid them. The problem with that is that consumers also paid for these tariffs in the form of higher prices, and there's not going to be any relief for us. Also, it looks like the Trump administration are likely to fight the reimbursements, and anytime you have vast sums of money being paid out, there's going to be some fraud there, unless you're really careful. Now, this has also damaged us on the international stage. Many countries have tried to strike deals with the Trump administration to reduce their tariffs, but now it looks like those deals won't ever materialize because of the ruling, and that again just creates chaos worldwide. Now, my biggest thought is just that none of this is necessary. There are times where tariffs make sense and where tariffs are justified, like in the instances where China is dumping cheap solar panels to kill the US solar industry. But clearly, the way that this has been rolled out over the past year has been nothing other than confusing and chaotic. And we as a country have gained very little from the whole exercise. And my bigger point is that it's unnecessary because Republicans control the House, they control the Senate, and they control the White House. They can pass any law they want. If they want tariffs, they can do it legally through Congress. But instead, Trump has decided to rule by executive order. And that just creates more chaos and confusion, and it is ultimately not what the Founding Fathers intended. There's meant to be checks and balances and separation of powers. The Founding Fathers implemented the separation of powers in the Constitution to ensure that no single person had too much power. And so again, if tariffs are really as great as they say, then pass a law, make it official, and avoid all the chaos. But I want to know what you think. Do you think that the tariffs have been a net positive for the country or a net negative for the country? Leave me a comment and let me know. As always, I hope that you've enjoyed the video. I hope that it was a good explanation and that you learned something from it. And if you did, share it with someone else who may also find it interesting. Also, be sure to subscribe and watch my other videos, and I'll see you in the next one.